I'm saying all that, and I didn't click go live, so I'm gonna go do it again. Ah,
That's fine.
perfect.
Yeah.
No, you
Can
can
I?
make the joke, man.
Yeah, I
Of
mean that's
course.
fine. Are we live right now, or have we gone live,
Now
or?
we are definitely live. Now we are definitely live.
Okay,
It was
perfect.
hilarious. I was so just for everybody who is joining us now and seeing us now. I did like an intro, but yeah, it's a usual thing. The intro went into the wilderness of YouTube because it wasn't live, but now we are definitely live. And let me quickly introduce today's episode. So, yeah, first of all, this is Citizen Cosmos Odyssey, regardless of whether you're watching us live or recorded. Of Soarchain. Dennis, hi again. I'm sorry about that.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
I'm sorry, man. It happens, you know. It's better that it would happen straight away than later. And I
Yeah,
was just saying that yeah, man, it's true. I was just saying that it's a bit you're a bit special for us this episode. Usually we have either validators or either like events or on Odyssey, I mean, or projects that are a bit have been longer around, not a bit, not a little bit. And Soarchain is not just a new project. That's what I was saying before. Also, it's also a very different project. So, Dennis, maybe first thing is first, I will ask you to introduce yourself a little bit, if you don't mind.
yeah, definitely. So I'm Dennis. I'm one of the co-founders of Soarchain. I'm originally coming from an electrical and electronics engineering background. I've been working on autonomous vehicles and automotive for about 9 years now. And we have basically started working on Soarchain out of the need that we saw, actually, out of the experience that we gained. And that's basically me.
I know that you have, in your previous interviews, have spoken about, a lot about autonomous robots, and you've just mentioned autonomous robots, and you mentioned that you have experience with it. At which point did that experience connect with the blockchain world? I mean, robotics and blockchain are two separate fields after all. I mean, yes, they slowly start, and hopefully, luck, and
Yeah.
hopefully, you will be the person and the project to help them connect. But how did you connect to the blockchain world? Where did blockchain come into all that?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, um, I love this talk actually because I mean, at least I personally see um, all vehicles as robots of some autonomy. And that's basically why we group all of them under robotics, at least in my head. When we initially started working, we were developing these um, autonomy software, and compute hardware, where we basically realized that, okay, we can actually make a single vehicle autonomous on a very controlled environment. But when we put these together, like 10 of these so-called autonomous vehicles together in an environment, they're missing a very important aspect. And that aspect is the connectivity and the ability of these vehicles, robots, agents to communicate directly with each other so that they can actually function well in the same environment. And then we started looking into solutions, connectivity solutions, specifically designed for high throughput, high reliability applications, such as like mobility, robotics. But we didn't really come across any. We even like experimented with 5G. We basically tested almost everything on the market. And then we came across this limitation where the current telecommunication infrastructure, it could be the cellular infrastructure, it could be wireless, it could be anything. They are all designed for humans. And the vehicles, as it is right now, they will not be able to use the current infrastructure. Even if we go to the 5G, 6G, 7G, whatever, they need to communicate with each other. So we need this connectivity layer in between that connects the vehicles to each other, to the infrastructure, to the pedestrians, basically all the road users, and also to the cloud. That's how we went from developing like autonomous vehicle hardware and software to general purpose. So right now, what we're developing, what we are providing as a tech stack is not only targeting the autonomous vehicles, it's actually the other way around. It's basically targeting low autonomy standard vehicles that we're driving every day. Because as we worked in this field, we got a lot of attention from the incumbents of this economy, like large OEMs, car manufacturers, and they basically said, okay, we need this connectivity layer right now. Not when we go autonomous, not some other time, but right now. So that's basically where we saw the need. And then why did we start developing it as Soarchain instead of going on as a company that provides like private services to all these companies? Because that's, again, out of necessity. We saw that the automotive industry and the mobility in general is very fragmented and a huge lack of interoperability between these car manufacturers, their suppliers. So it's all a mess. And the technology is moving very slow, because if when you want to like integrate technology, let's say we want to make an unconnected car a connected car, it's a very simple technology. We have the technology and I can put it inside a vehicle today and it will become connected for tomorrow. But when you work with the car manufacturers, it's basically, okay, you want to put the device today, but you can't put it 3 years, 4 years after. So the innovation cycles are very, very slow. And the cost sensitive nature of the industry doesn't really help them to put it right away. So that's why we basically went with the best way to incentivize people, incentivize everyone in this ecosystem, so that everyone ability deploys and continues to support this technology. So that's basically where the blockchain side came in.
Would you say that the blockchain, if I was to simplify that, would you say that blockchain is just what can potentially give autonomous robots autonomy, basically give them independence if it's an open source and a verifiable blockchain?
Exactly. That's basically one of the, autonomy as it is can be thought of as a combination of applications that are running on the vehicle. And through a decentralized network, basically we're enabling all these applications to run on vehicles or run for vehicles in a secure, trustless, and basically community powered way. So that's what we are trying to emphasize in terms of all this application ecosystem and the connectivity features that the technology provides to people.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. But let's zoom out a little bit first. And what I would like you to do is, can you? I mean, we started to talk about Soarchain, and I kind of like have a good understanding from the homework that I did of what you guys do, and I kind of put you straight into it, which is my fault. So I should have like gradually dove in there. But I'm curious as to how would you LE5, well, maybe LE7, LE8, explain it like I'm 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe a 5-year-old, no, but let's try to take a 10, 12-year-old, or maybe a teenager, a young teenager child who has heard the word maybe blockchain. Maybe he knows what Bitcoin is, he knows what electricity is, he knows what robots are. Can you explain to this child what is Soarchain and what is its purpose?
Oh, this one's a good one, actually. I never had to do this, but let's give it a shot. So basically, Soarchain is a blockchain that is specifically designed for cars and all the other vehicles that you can think of. It can be the two-wheelers, pedestrians, even micromobility, things like e-kick scooters, you name it. And by becoming a part of Soarchain, all of these vehicles actually get access to different types of applications. And these applications actually help these vehicles and their respective owners to actually get the most out of their experience using these vehicles. It can be cost reduction, it can be improvement of your driving, it can be improving the safety of your driving, it could be collaborative driving, or it could be even very straightforward things like payments for mobility related services such as insurance, EV charging, predictive maintenance, you name it. But maybe this might be a bit
I think
yeah,
it was good though.
12,
I think it was
yeah.
good though. No, the beginning was good. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I was actually gonna like try to go from there and try to build on that actually, because you were saying okay, it's a blockchain, goes for all wheels, it can improve. So basically, like now that you say that, now that you put it like that, and before I'm trying to say what I'm trying to think what should come first. So now, and I know you guys have those Motus devices, which is basically a device which is now on pre-order, right? There is the mini Motus and the proper Motus, and what it does is basically kind of like without now going into the technicalities, a device that connects to your car and collects data, right? Basically,
yes.
Are going to correct me completely the way I explained it. I understand that from your perspective, there is a much better explanation to this, but I just want to like put the sort of what is Soarchain does into a very like kind of like easy to understand perspective, because it is a complex project, in my opinion, at least. So basically, what Soarchain is kind of an oracle from the real world to the on-chain world, but for the data that comes from cars, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It can be, except for the Oracle part, maybe, yeah, it is similar to an Oracle in terms of like getting real-world data and off-chain data on-chain. But we're also like using some pretty cool solutions, like scaling solutions, to actually have that data verified and available as on-chain as possible. But yeah, that's like a very good one-sentence explanation of it. Yeah.
I'm trying to I told you I'm going to be a little bit devil's advocate, so feel free to correct me as much as you can. But okay, so let's go a step further. So basically, what Soarchain is essentially enabling in the way that I'm seeing now is, for example, if we were to take any of the more complex vehicles on the market today, primarily we'll be looking, of course, at Tesla. We'll be looking, of course, at the primary German vehicles that already like Audi and Mercedes. And I know that they collect data, and I know though that you have, as an owner, absolutely no, obviously, well, first of all, you have no choice whether data is being collected or not. Second, regardless of the data, that doesn't help you because it's being sent to, well, maybe in Tesla, I don't know if they have actually any sort of programs that analyze the data they collect and give you some, I don't know. I don't drive a Tesla, so I cannot say. But for some reason in my head, if anything like that existed, it probably would have been Tesla that would have tried to do something like that. But fuck Tesla. Let's go back to Soarchain, right? So basically, what you're enabling is you kind of giving the market, instead of all those big companies coming in and collecting the data and whatever they are presuming to do with it, improve driving or anything else, we don't know. And basically they're saying, okay guys, there is all that and there is us, and we want to enable you already today to do that, to at least participate in the test nets or whatever. And then what would be the benefits for somebody to for example, pre-order one of those devices, a Motus device? I don't know if you want to give it a better introduction that I did.
Yeah, definitely. So these Motus devices are basically, again, designed out of need. There are two types. One is the Motus Pro, and the other one is the Motus Mini. Pro is basically, it can be thought of as an upgraded version, which we have actually designed for automotive use, like factory use. It's a production-ready module that OEMs, car manufacturers can just get and put inside their vehicles. Of course, there are some things we've changed so that it would become more user-friendly, more like an end-user product. But all the technology, all the standards, specifications that it's complying with are basically all for automotive use. It is more for, especially at this stage, it is more for like developers that want to develop dApps for Soarchain, or advanced users who are kind of like more into car modding and stuff like that. But it's a full-fledged product with very good computational power as well, which will enable in the future even like autonomy applications, ADAS applications, and even things like renting your free compute power in the future. When we come to Motus Mini, again, it's our proprietary design. It is an open source, secure, and tamper-resistant hardware unit, which Motus Pro is, by the way. So everything I say is also valid for Motus Pro. So in terms of the security side, it contains a secure element inside of it. It's basically a special chipset, which the hardware wallets we know, such as like the big names, are actually using, and it's basically the same technology. So it can be also thought of as a hardware wallet, which you plug into your car, which enables you to get all the available data from your car and make it meaningful to you. So this is like a very broad explanation, I'd say.
No, it's good, man. It's good. If you want to go, by the way, trying to do them very abstract, feel free to go into technicalities if you would like to. It would be very, very useful. By the way, while we are talking, there is like a conversation here about black mirrors and in the YouTube chat and cars collecting data. So, without, I mean, I'm going to ask you in a second, but even more so, guys, whoever is having this conversation and talking, I can tell you that, on some Teslas, not on some, but on Teslas, if you don't do an upgrade, you cannot start your car. So, we are going into a lot more than Black Mirror in a couple of years, if this is all centralized. By the way, Dennis, what's your, there's a conversation here about, well, like I said, about cars storing data and maybe even selling data. What do you think about that as somebody, working on the other side of the industry and trying to make it more approachable for humans and using blockchain to open source that? What do you think about car manufacturers doing those things?
So the thing about, again, I'd say that we're definitely in like a critical opportunity window to, it's very cheesy, but like take back what is ours, basically get the ownership of the data, because right now we have none. Especially, I mean the our automobiles, but it's pretty much the same with anything Web 2 or anything old economy, right? So right now we have the ability to get people to plug this fairly low cost device to their vehicles, and in return they basically are able to tap into all the data, almost all of the data that their vehicles are generating. This is firstly what the benefit that they get out of it are several, maybe countless. But the first one I'd say would be to get access to your vehicle data, to the diagnostics data, and get if anything is wrong with your car, and get some better driving tips while you're driving. This is, I'm not good part yet, because that's actually one of the main incentives on this network. As you plug this device to your vehicle, you can opt in to make your vehicle data available to the respective data consumers. Previously, when you think of how this is being done today, is you have a single company and they come to you either knowingly or unknowingly. You may opt in or you may not know at all. They basically collect your data, silo it out, and decide what to do with it, decide to whom to sell it, and they're very happy. But again, this system even doesn't work for the company that does this because it's not a sustainable system. It doesn't benefit everyone in this ecosystem. So that's why, first of all, the main aim is to empower the users so that they can actually claim that this is their data. And when you look at the OEMs or automakers, they're not actually interested in like breaking your privacy, getting your data, and selling it off. It's just like a revenue stream for them. It's just that currently automaking is, you can look at even Tesla. It's not really profitable to just manufacture the car and sell it. You need to have like these value added services. You need to have subscription based systems. You need to basically, all the automotive companies, they are trying to become application development companies or like software oriented software development companies. And most of them are trying to become Tesla. But that's not really possible without aligning all of your internal teams, everyone, to become like a software company. So it's really difficult. That's why they just buy ready-made solutions. They just get whatever's available on the market. And that's actually, we have been providing this technology, the hardware, software, firmware, networking layer, everything that makes up Soarchain, to many companies from the automotive industry. And even with this technology, they are willing to use it more in comparison to a Web 2 approach, where we would just deploy some service for them, put these devices on users' vehicles, and they would either pay them or it's not a working system, as you can understand. It's basically what we are trying to do is to completely remove the intermediary there. Like we're not becoming any company that gets this data and routes this to anyone. You're basically, as a user, you have the option to provide any data you can choose from them to the respective consumers. And these consumers could be the car manufacturers themselves. It could be the application developers. And here, application developers could mean a lot of things. It could be like an insurtech company. It could be a fintech company for financing your vehicle, like lease or loans and stuff like that. It could be an EV charging provider where you pay with the native currency of Soarchain. So there are a lot of value there to be extracted from the whole ecosystem, which cannot be extracted right now because these cars are not connected, and they're not connected in a decentralized network.
And I think this is like a cool point to come to one of my favorite topics, actually. You mentioned mining, or rewards. Well, mining. You say, I don't know if you actually use the word mining. You mentioned rewards, incentives. I'm gonna use the word mining, and I'm sure you
Mhm.
guys know right now these days you have like you can sleep, and I'll be honest with you. I haven't experimented with those projects, whether you're like,
Mhm.
earn and
Mhm.
run or earn and sleep or whatever. But basically what your suggestion here is drive and earn kind of thing, right? You're saying.
Mhm.
So, and my topic is here is not that's not my favorite topic. My favorite topic was a bit kind of like to continue on that, though, and to ask you, what is your opinion, because where this is going is basically, where we started, having robots having autonomy. I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly. What is your opinion about AI, and I think it's very actual now, right? With baby AGI and all the hype that is going around artificial intelligence. What is your opinion on robots having kind of their own money, which is, in my opinion, when you connect the blockchain and open and decentralized blockchain, is kind of the final frontier in giving that robot autonomy. And because, well, now that it has its money and it can make its own decisions, that's it. It's kind of can do it. Well, what's your opinion on that? Where do you think it's going?
Yeah, that's actually like a very interesting idea, robots having their own currencies. But when you think of it, like as with any currency, if it has like actual utility, you're basically buying a service or a product with it, right? And at that point in time, which we might not be very far away, these robots would in fact, which employ some kind of AI system on themselves, can in fact decide on which service they need to use to complete their task and maybe subscribe to that service or buy it off for some time. This could be something physical, it could be a digital thing. But yeah, I think that's where we're heading. And also in terms of like AI safety or like AI alignment, um, I'd say to have safety in an AI system, we would need to verify what's actually running on the background. So it comes exactly to what you have said in the beginning. We need to verify what each device runs, which algorithm each device runs, and how those algorithms or networks, trained weights whatsoever running on the background change over time. So this should be either open or we cannot have it all, right? We cannot have everything open sourced, but you can still use um, proof mechanisms to verify that in fact um, the correct version of that software is running on a robot, or the correct version of the autonomy algorithm is running on the car. And you can do this in consensus. I think that's the most important part. It, as people, you might not like, okay, I verified it as a person, you verified it as a person, but do we agree that in fact they're running the same thing? Is it safe? Is it biased, etc.? But it's like a whole different AI ethics topic, I guess.
I'm curious. You mentioned open source, and to me, that's a very big topic. I'm one of those people who firmly believes, whether we're gonna go into like a technological discussion or a philosophical discussion. I'm one of those people who has. It's strange to use the word belief when we're talking about technology and open source, but I'm gonna use it because it's thematically easy to understand. So I'm one of those people who has the belief that open source is superior in everything to closed source, and there is nothing more in this world that killed more people than censorship. Whether it's censorship that comes from well, I'm not going to go into that right now, but there's a lot of censorship that has caused a lot of trouble in that world. So, and my question to you, you said that not everything has to be open source. I'm curious. Of course, if somebody decides in an open source world, I agree. Like in a decentralized world, not everybody has to use a decentralized blockchain, because if the world is decentralized, people have consensus and choice to do what they want, which could be to use decentralized bank. But I'm curious as to why you say personally, like, what's your opinion on open source?
Exactly.
And yeah,
No, that's a completely valid question, actually. I'm completely like pro open hardware, open software. I have been using many open source things I've learned a lot of from, and I try to contribute as much as possible to anything that I basically use, even for personal use, anything that I can contribute. I think it's a wonderful thing, and it basically creates novel stuff that wouldn't have been created behind closed doors. We see this every day, even like the operating system. It's a very obvious example, but using a Linux distribution, that's just how I feel it, remember it every day. What I meant by not everything has to be open source would probably be followed by not everything might be open source, but everything that goes into an open and non-open source system should be encrypted. So that's actually where my standpoint would be on using something that's not open source. That, in a sense, could, at least currently, with all the known methods, could be provided by using a fully homomorphic encryption scheme, which is kind of like the buzzword nowadays. But I think that would be the best solution to use non-open source systems. The data that goes into it should be encrypted before leaving the user or leaving the endpoint, basically.
Thank you for the clarification. I was quite curious as to your opinion on that. Now that we're on a topic of kind of physical networks and devices, there is a question here. Before I ask it, I'm gonna make it maybe kind of, because I have a similar question myself. I will ask both of them, of course, but I want to like introduce the topic a little bit. We kind of started to talk about it. We talked about autonomous devices, and we talked about that you guys producing a device or just open to pre-ordering it already called Motus, which helps you to collect data and basically in the future incentivize as you drive your car, and many other things that you already mentioned, which would give which it could theoretically, create possibilities for. But before we go into the topic, here's the question. There is the so first of all, what would you classify Soarchain as? Is that infrastructure? Is it communication? Is it a service? Like if I was to, like very zoom out and say, hey, this is DeFi, this is that, this is robotics, what would Soarchain be? Infrastructure, service?
Infrastructure, yeah. I mean, I definitely personally love to call it infrastructure. Just one word, infrastructure. But as its meaning could be like, when you say infrastructure in Web3, you go more to things like basically the infrastructure companies.
Yes.
But this is basically like physical infrastructure, or as some really like to call it, token incentivized physical infrastructure networks. I think that's a really accurate definition. Or nowadays it's also called like DePIN, which is like decentralized physical infrastructure networks. So
I like
yeah,
that.
I would call it I would call it a physical infrastructure network.
Physical infrastructure. I like even what is it? DePIN?
Yeah,
you say
it's like TIPIN is the token incentivized physical infrastructure network. I think it's the most accurate one, and it actually encapsulates many other big projects actually, such as like Helium and other infrastructure projects.
I was gonna go there today. Actually, I was gonna go to there before you steal it from me. I'm joking, Dennis, but let's go to that. This is actually why I started to try to introduce that. And then you have all these like projects, and this is where I want to come to. Helium, you have such things as NKN, you have Orbit, you have Foam, and I want to stop on Foam for a second. Now, I don't know if you know about Foam, but so I'm curious because for the listeners, I'm sorry, before I'm going to ask Dennis the question, because not everybody's heard of Foam. So Foam is, without advertising, it's a project been building for a while. They build it in Rust, also Tendermint Cosmos related, supposed to be also to do with triangulation and physical devices and a lot of like similar things to what Soarchain is, but in a way, Soarchain is of course from what, and this is me kind of already directing this to you, more focused on cars, right? What is the difference between foam chain and Soarchain? Could you a little bit
Uh,
explain, if you don't
yeah,
mind?
yeah, definitely. So basically, is a mobility focused layer one,
Okay.
and we're basically including all the things that a layer one would have, so that decentralized applications could be built on top of it. Um, the foam is basically there, like laser focused on solving a single problem, getting you in, like becoming independent from the GPS or GNSS generally satellites, and have like better localization, and they do this through the hardware aspect. So I think that's the shared part. But other than that, I guess mm, that's basically the difference
That's
is
it.
that we are, yeah, that's it. Mobility, we're a mobility focused chain. We are also um, providing these hardware to basically anything that would move, anything that can be called mobility. It doesn't even have to be, you don't even have to theoretically own a vehicle to use the system, because this would you can actually use Soarchain to, let's say, uh, use a dApp that's developed on top of Soarchain, which enables you to do ride hailing, for example, or like car sharing applications. All these could be enabled by Soarchain, which we already have a few teams actually working to develop these types of applications on Soarchain. So it is, I mean, I know that it's really, really cheesy, but it's kind of like we're really want to become the Ethereum for cars, or the layer one for mobility. That's what I'm saying that. And the exact aspect that the reason that we're referring to Ethereum is because it also enables like a generic compute distributed computer to deploy generic applications on top of it. But it is so generic that it limits a lot of applications to be deployed on it. So that's why we need like all these L2 solutions, and people deploy L3s on top of these L2s, and it becomes like an endless scaling problem. And that's one of the reasons actually we went with Cosmos, by the way. Uh, I don't know if I'm like going out of subject, but like we basically initially started developing the consensus parts, the networking parts, the P2P networking, everything by ourselves using open source repositories. We even used this Honey Badger BFT consensus system, advanced it in a way. Then everything got out of hand in terms of the development overhead. So we you started using Tendermint, and then come across Cosmos SDK, and basically we just spun up our chain and started to develop the custom modules on top of it. So that's actually one of the strengths, I'd say, of being a Cosmos chain, is the ability to add custom modules on a protocol level, on the like VM level, and now you're not depending on a more generic computer, and that's how we're able to actually optimize everything for mobility's needs, for extreme amounts of data, for high mobility nodes, for low reliability nodes, because it's not like you have a PC at home connected through the Ethernet, you have like a gigabit internet or something like that. You basically have constrained resources moving all the time. So you basically need to optimize everything according to these as well. So yeah.
Yeah, I totally understand that, to be honest. But before we move on to that topic, though, because we will a little bit move into the chain.
Yes.
The question was, will you guys be a competition to Demo Network? I'm not familiar with Demo Network, so If you are, maybe you could like give a two-word what is that, and are you competitors to it?
Yeah, again, our position here is basically to be the platform. Again, I will emphasize the layer one part to enable decentralized applications on Soarchain, similar to Demo. It could be any data aggregation application, basically. And from my view, the data aggregation is only one of the countless applications that are going to be live on Soarchain. We already have some developers that are actually deploying ad hoc data aggregation apps, which are laser focused to get a specific data out of your vehicles. So in a sense, it could be compared. I mean, it would be a comparison between L3 DApp and an L1 kind of thing. I'd say that would be the main comparison. And yeah, that's I think one of the things. And again, coming back to the Cosmos part, we're IBC enabled by default. So that's one of the beauties of becoming a Cosmos chain. It's pretty obvious, but like just for a few example, we can like don't want to advertise also, but since we're all in the Cosmos ecosystem, we can utilize, for example, secret network whenever a privacy preserving is needed by default, or like we can create intelligent vaults specifically for mobility by interfacing with the Sommelier network or this Moon for microfinancing, or even rent out freely available compute power from Motus using Akash network. The list goes on and on, but you get the idea. So that's also one of our greatest strengths. So yeah, I think that should probably cover it.
Definitely, definitely, definitely answered. And by the way, just for everybody again watching, listening, yeah, Demo Network is basically a network that has got a similar idea, but I guess yeah, like Dennis already explained, there are a lot of differences, especially from the lower and higher levels, right? Depends which way we look at it. So it's interesting. But moving to Cosmos, it's interesting. Sorry, I'm gonna didn't finish the sentence. It's interesting that there are so many, not so many, but when I say so many, it's more than one or two projects already built it in such direction. And moving to Cosmos actually, because yeah, as far as I know, you have yourselves now. There is Foam, there is Althea, and I mean, Fetch. I don't know if they're gonna have any devices. Cyber Bostrom again. I'm assuming that it will get to the point of physical devices. Not yet, but it's interesting that already we are seeing in the Cosmos ecosystem already this fleet of networks which are trying to, not just to have a consensus together or be connected via IBC, but actually be physically connected. It's an interesting thing. No, I think it's quite fascinating to me. I don't know why. I get excited when I hear those things.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it will just see more and more,
I'm a nerd
especially in
though,
the
man.
Cosmos ecosystem.
So I don't know, when I hear like physical devices being connected, I be honest with you, but sorry, I was gonna steal the thing there, but then I remembered I had another question. I was interviewing you. No, I'm joking. Of course, I remember that. Let me ask you a question, though, Dennis, about well, still hard, but actually recently I saw A16Z propose tokenology, to use tokenology instead of tokenomics. So I don't know if Guy is listening to this. But I'm gonna steal that and ask you,
Yeah.
in your tokenology, how does the value occurrence? Because I'm gonna start from a little bit far away, and this is gonna be a bit of a devil's advocate question, and I apologize for it straight away, but I'm gonna ask it. So zooming out of Soarchain, and Soarchain is not a DeFi protocol, but zooming out, to blockchain, there are a lot of DeFi protocols, especially on networks or whatever. And there's a big problem with them, in my opinion. The value occurrence is tied to fees only. And yeah, in case of Uniswap, it works because it's Ethereum and it's gigantic, and Uniswap can able to pull it off. Okay, there are other problems with it, but let's not go into them right now. Osmosis on Cosmos, I can see how in the future Osmosis can capture that, can capture those fees. The other ones are struggling and keep on using their internal token as a reward system. But the reality is that, if we were to zoom out, it's kind of, it's not a bad thing to do, but to tie all your yeah, that's the question.
I get the point. It's basically like to use the tokens and the rewards from the rewards tokens as rewards as a bootstrapping mechanism to basically in a way artificially increase the value of the network, but in the end you don't really get any real life value, you don't really solve any problems, so why should this token be valuable? That's exactly what we're trying to that's our whole goal, basically. When you look at the connected mobility and the economy that it has created until now, and it will create 5 years from now, it is estimated to deliver around $400 billion in value, approximately in about 5 years. So this is connected mobility, everything that we're speaking of and even more. And of course, we have multiple parties, including the individuals. The main users, of course, are the drivers, passengers, the pedestrians, other road users. They will basically contribute to and benefit from this ecosystem. I will actually explain that in a minute. And also, with Soarchain, the friction with other industries, such as these financial services, OEMs and the motor industry, public services, even governments, and even industries such as energy and telecom will be lifted. There will be much more frictionless, and they will be able to contribute to mobility in a much easier, much streamlined way. So the value accrual of the token, in my opinion, comes from its utility and what problem it solves. And in our case, basically, when you look at the value stream within the Soarchain network, these vehicles, okay, they generate data and provide this data to the applications. But please try to think as broad, as generic as possible. This doesn't have to be like, I don't know, your speed data and it goes to your insurer and they increase your insurance premium. It doesn't have to be like that. It could even be your nearby vehicle utilizing your data so that it doesn't crash, so you don't get any accidents, or you see the vulnerable road users such as the pedestrians, or you even actually visually see them. So this is the whole spectrum of applications that Soarchain is potentially unlocking and making accessible to everyone. And when you think about it, it comes down like you use the Motus device as a passport or like a sign-in method to get into the world of Soarchain. And even if you're not getting, I mean, there's a reward mechanism, and also like more than half of the total supply is actually allocated for these network rewards, which are again designed in a sustainable way so that the participants would actually prove that they have been in fact participating in this network through what we call proof of availability. It's basically a proof mechanism which we came up with. And the value accrual is basically coming from the utility of the token. And that's actually one of the main reasons that we want non-crypto users to actually use Soarchain. And we believe that the majority of the users will be non-crypto users, even like they will not be even automotive enthusiasts. They will be just regular car owners, car users, mobility users who wants to get the most out of their vehicles, most out of their experiences. And the application ecosystem that Soarchain enables basically provides that to them. And I mentioned the connected mobility and the $100 billion industry. Basically, that value in the end will start, will be transferred to Soarchain. And that's how the value accrual of the token will happen. But I hope that's like a legit answer.
It would be interesting to watch it unfold. Of course, like I can tell you from experience that definitely expectations from models and their reality, as you probably know in testing and working with robotics yourself, are different things. But I think that's kind of the answer I wanted to hear to understand what you guys are planning. To kind of to start to resume, but and to the maybe to the last, or not the last, but to more or less the last topic, last question kind of thing, to bring it more down to earth. So today, because I know you guys are at a very early age, you are at stage where it's important to accrue not value yet, but more like developers, users. So this is the question: how can today the people who will be again either watching this now or listening to this recording, doesn't matter, listening to watching a clip from it, doesn't matter if they're regardless of whether, sorry, it does matter, but regardless of whether they're a user, a validator, or a developer, they're interested in Soarchain, what can they to do today? Can they purchase Motus? Can they validate Soarchain? What are the things that you can already do to participate in the life of Soarchain today?
Yeah, definitely. So we have been in the DevNet stage for the past 4-5 months. We will actually be deploying our incentivized testnet in about a couple of weeks, which will actually the immediate the stage before our, and it will basically have all the features. They will basically be the same. What users can actually do right today to join this incentivized testnet is to purchase Motus devices. That's the easiest and the most straightforward and plug and play, so to say, way to do so. And you can, for the end user, that's as simple as that. You just connect to Soarchain network and start providing your data, and in return, you start earning the native token of Soarchain. As a validator, we welcome validators, especially who can bring different things to the table. It could be either like community, it could be technical expertise, it could be like new ideas, anything. We're open to everyone, and we're open for everyone's contribution. When we come to developers, this part is especially important. Although like Cosmosm and the smart contract in Cosmos ecosystem might seem like limited because you have all these EVM developers there, and all chains are like EVM. You have the other EVM compatible chains. So it seems that there are like more developers there. But what I saw in the Cosmos ecosystem, there are more motivated and laser focused developers, which is a very good thing for us. So anyone who is willing to develop mobility applications, or who wants to develop a service that serves mobility and solves the real life problems of mobility, we welcome all developers to start developing dApps on Soarchain. We directly support Cosmosm smart contracts, and we even have some custom modules that you can interact with, where you can do a bunch of things with car data. So yeah, that's I think to the community and to like the public, I would say these things. I'm sure I'm forgetting some, but yeah.
It's not a problem. First of all, in terms of forgetting, of course, we will specify some of the links. Not straight away. I mean, the video that is going live to YouTube now, of course, will not have links, guys. But if you're watching this in recording, then definitely you will see the links that Dennis has mentioned in sorry, in the description of the video, so you can follow those and have a look at what Motus is. For now, for those who are watching it live, guys, and you are interested, well, I would just type in Soarchain, and actually you will find the Motus devices on their website. Very interesting. So if you're a nerd like me, I don't know, I'm not gonna say anything, but if you're a nerd like me, it looks very cool, looks very interesting. It looks like something to explore. So yeah, but other than that, of course, will be very interesting to watch you guys grow and what you guys assimilate into the Cosmos ecosystem, and not just but IBC, I would say, ecosystem. Yeah, other than that, Dennis, if there is something I didn't mention, please feel free to mention it. Other than that, yeah, that's
I think
from
yeah,
my side.
the last part was, I think, would be my closing talk, to welcome everyone in this ecosystem,
I'm
to
sorry.
contribute, to participate, to um, give any feedback. We're open to everything, obviously. So yeah, we welcome everyone here at Soarchain. Just take a look, try to contribute. We also have staking modules. You can delegate, you can stake, you can become a validator, you can become a participant through
Nice.
Motus devices. Feel free to explore.
Nice. Dennis, definitely looking forward, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you more and your team, and not just like that, but in other formats as well. Thank you
Mhm.
very much for joining us today, for answering the questions. Please don't hang up yet. I'm going to stop the stream. Everybody who's joined us today or has been watching this and recording again, thank you, and see you next time. Bye. So let me just stop the stream and